Good day on this day of all days. That's right, we're live right after the first presidential debate. We had planned this night. Welcome to everybody to Far Reaches Podcast. We had planned this evening far in advance with all of our crazy schedules, and then it was brought up and well pointed out that this is election night, and so we postponed it for a few hours, starting our conversation, the fireside chat, if you will, between all of us, to get a little reflection and maybe some input and thoughts post-debate, and some of the more political things that have been going on as of recently. We've had some requests to delve into that world a bit more than perhaps we might usually do, and given the time of year that we're in and the certain situations we're experiencing, that's probably a pretty good idea too. We don't know where Raleigh's at yet, probably getting that torn labia duct taped up, and he'll be limping to the barn here real quick. So we'll have our fourth reacher. This is a tri-reach right now, which is one of the more rare and enjoyable reaches for those of you playing along at home. So I am Micah. We have Richard and Mr. Joel, all in I'm in Florida. Richard's in somewhere in Oregon, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. I'm home.
Okay, good. Yeah, and Mr. Joel is in his cabin in Brooklyn. So we are. It's such a cool background, though. Yeah, you have that. If I just said you're still back in Pendleton and you looked at that wall covering behind, you'd think, oh yeah, absolutely, of course he's in Pendleton still. So he's hunkered down in the wild west that is Brooklyn. Yeah, so probably crazier there than anywhere else. But welcome to Far Reaches Podcast. We are here back. We'll kick off with our normal structure, but we'll probably then just jump right into some of our thoughts. But we wanted to give a quick individual weekly updates, and then we'll have a little cussing and discussing, I think, on the presidential debate we just got off the air watching. So, Mr. Joel, how about you give us some weekly updates and insight into your always adventurous and entertaining world?
Over last week, the big thing that I did this week was finally made it up to Connecticut to go visit my cousin and his wife, and they have a 1-year-old. So we went up there on Friday morning and played a round of golf in Connecticut, which was a refreshing experience considering the Brooklyn municipal courses. But yeah, and spent the weekend up there. Just saw their new house. It's incredible.
Oh, cool.
They just moved in there about a month ago, 2 months ago or something. Yeah, hung out by their pool. They have a swimming pool, so hung out by that up there and drank some Pendleton whiskey. And yeah, that's what I did.
I'm glad you're supporting your golf addiction still. That's good to see. Makes me proud.
Yeah, this one was not bad. I shot for a new course. When I ever played, this course was really I'm sure you've played them where you can't just, in Pendleton, you can just swing at the green on nearly every hole. But here it's you have to hit it 230 to a fairway.
Then
and then you can hit it onto another fairway or take a shot at the green. What do they call it? Spot golf or something?
Target golf. There's a lot of terms for it. Yeah. In theory, all golf is that because you should be working backwards from the green anyways. But sometimes you play better. I do anyways. And of course, I've never played before because I don't have any of my bad habits of I always hit 7 on this, or I always try to hit driver. So yeah, sometimes I play better on the first time I go to a course. Yeah.
Well, no, I usually play way worse, but I broke 100, so I was happy with that. Beat Andy.
Nice. That's good for him. Yeah. Outstanding. I gotta have goals. That helps. Richard, what have you been up to, man? How you doing?
Well, are we done talking about golf?
You can wake up now. Yeah. A-hole. Yeah. Let's talk about your Mariners and your stupid
I'm with
hat.
Winston.
How's that sound? Yeah.
I'm with Winston. It's a perfectly good way to ruin a nice walk.
A good walk spoiled, yes.
As Micah can attest, I have no patience for the game of golf.
Yeah. I end up. Is it you or Kevin that would rate NA on the hole when we played at Shad's wedding? I think it's Kevin, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
just not applicable. Like, just move on. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, that's one thing. There's a few things in life that you just truly will never understand. I just don't understand how somebody could not like to play golf.
Thank you. Yeah. It just doesn't, it doesn't match everybody's.
Give me one good reason,
Right.
Richard.
Yeah.
Huh?
Give me one good reason.
My eyeballs would literally pop out of my head. It makes me so mad. I cannot stomach spending $100 on the sport that pisses me off for 3 hours. So I just gave it up.
Yeah, you prefer the predictable nature of something like farming.
Yeah, much less irritating. Yeah.
That's killing you. That's killing you slowly.
Yeah. And way more than $100 too. So let's get that out of the way. Oh, let's see. Thank God, Joel, that not everybody loves to play golf because we never get on the course then.
Yes.
Yeah, so I look at the positive way. Yeah. Anyways, Richard, after you're done slamming the lovely game of golf, what are you thinking?
Yeah. I'm one of those fly fishing guys. I like that.
Oh yeah, because that's less than $100 and less than 3 hours and way more calming. Yeah.
Nothing more meditative than standing about waist deep in a creek and untying knots.
Yeah, out of the branch and it's stuck in your ear and yeah, sounds awesome. No, I like regular. I've only fly fished a couple times, so I really can't dog it too much. But yeah,
I've only gone fish
it didn't
fishing.
bite
I've
me.
never tried to catch flies. I've only tried to.
Oh yeah,
fish.
it's like Mr. Miyagi with the chopsticks. It takes forever. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Richard's like looking at flies right now.
Yeah. No.
We're active. Yes.
Today I substitute taught at the school for the first time. Spanish. So.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
Are they so much dumber now that they're back after so long off?
They're
not because of you. I just mean because they haven't been in school for like a year.
No, I found that they were surprisingly more focused than that.
Oh.
Well, of course, I didn't start subbing until the last half of last year, so I imagine they'll get back to that state. But no,
yeah, they were missing it.
Yeah, different. It was different, and everybody was pretty good about their masks. And yeah, I think they're all working hard to keep that social interaction of the school, make sure they're doing everything so that it doesn't get shut down. So that's when you have that kind of commitment out of kids, then that's something special. So that group acknowledgement that, hey, we gotta pull in and pull our weight and try and make this work so that we don't have to get all split up again.
Yeah. Keep the gang.
So I'd imagine this group of kids that lived through COVID will probably have tighter bonds than a lot of other classes that go through school. So that's just my observation from today. And I've been being a little bit radical on LinkedIn lately, and
yeah, you've been lighting some fires. Yeah,
really been pounding on some people, and so I had a little glimpse of hope today that the message was getting across. So I was extremely thankful for that. And I don't like to be a bad guy, but sometimes they just need to have some asshole to be. Yeah.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's what I kept thinking whenever I'd see your posts. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, but I turned the corner. I don't know how long it'll last, but.
I didn't see the LinkedIn post. What was it?
Oh, yeah. We'll have to.
It's been a 4 to 6 month buildup.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slow burn. Yeah. Just tomorrow, jump on Richard's page and he's got like some rants. He's I wouldn't say rants. I just say diatribes. Yeah.
I hit the crescendo today, and I think yeah. So, anyways, I think I can move on from that. I feel like I've safely what would you say, accomplished maybe my mission that I set out to accomplish.
Exercise the demon. Yeah, that's
so no, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful people took a breath and looked around.
Well, that's awesome. I think, yeah. Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying too. I think so. And basically, it's like people who are trying to make rules aren't involved in what they're trying to make rules about and profiting at the same time. So go pound sand.
Yeah. Anyways,
not to summarize your last 4 to 6 months of building interaction with one sentence.
And to think I could spend all that time writing a book for a couple.
Damn it, yeah. It's all about focusing the energy. Yeah, but which is no fun at all. Yeah, no fun at all. No, I always enjoy it. So it's been like starting to get a little fall weather here in beautiful north central Florida. So it's like 62 degrees outside right now, and I'm loving every second of that. And so that and the governor being like, hey, y'all just go back to normal and shut up when it comes to the Rona. It's been interesting to see as well. So, yeah, some places are a little bit behind on taking down their Rona mask signs, but others like the second he said it was already done. So it's been interesting to see how people are adapting to that, how they're utilizing it and how they're thinking. So we'll see. So that's a really brief weather and Rona update, which I'll count for my weekly update as well.
I kind of thought you'd have more to say about, the Florida dropping the restrictions, and
I'm super happy. It just drives me crazy. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, I don't care. I'm just
how many people are still wearing them? Did anything change?
So it depends on some places, absolutely, yeah. Like my building at work, for some reason they still have the sign up. I sent a message like, "Are you guys ignoring what the governor said, or what are we doing?" I've not heard back yet. When I went to get mail, like that sign was down, probably because it's a UPS store that some dude owns. That sign was down instantly. Like the lady behind the counter, who was older, she chose to wear a mask. I was totally cool with that. If that makes you feel better, how are the people? I am not. And so, like, I didn't wear a mask when I was at work the other day in the office. I just pulled around with that one because I'm like, I'm fucking done. And so, if you want to wear one, I don't care. I haven't really been in much other places. I worked from home again today and was on the phone most of the time, so I wasn't even out and about or running the errands. Tomorrow, I'm going to town to the office, so we'll see what that looks like if it's updated since then. So, we'll see if the Winn-Dixie, if everybody's wearing masks, or some people are, some people aren't. So I've not heard much like locally from people like, I can't believe this guy did this, or it's about time. I've heard more from people from other states who are like, hey, I just heard this. Is this true? I'm like, well, yes, you get the same news that I do probably. So yeah, it's true. But,
could it be?
Yeah. What's that, Rich?
I said, could it be? I think Idaho is going to follow you.
It makes sense. Yeah. It's weird. On one hand, I'm like, the state should have the choice. On the other hand, I'm like, I think it needs to be universal, because if you're just going to have crap back and forth, if you're traveling between states, or school and all these other things that are going to go on, if they're still behind or not doing the same thing, then it'll even be a bigger cluster than it's been so far.
It's sort of like, I don't know. I was thinking, like, we tried the lockdown and everything. We tried to slow everything down and defeat the virus, but like that didn't work.
Well, you're not. No,
let's just stop trying.
If I recall correctly, going back in the memory bank, when we first said, "Hey, this thing floats in the air and kills people like vampires in the sunlight," we need everybody to kind of hold back, stay home, hunker down, and that way, so we wouldn't overrun the hospitals in our system. I think that's the reason we were given, like, why you should stay home. I believe.
For sure. 100%.
And then, in one of the biggest mistakes in my recent history, I know we all said, okay, and then after 2 weeks, we didn't say go pound sand and go back to normal. We kept going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so, we're not going to get rid of the virus. Even if there is a vaccine, A, who knows when it's going to be in place? B, not everybody responds the same to a vaccine. We know that. C, the vaccine is only good for this specific virus or that range. The virus keeps changing because, as I've said to anybody who will listen to me, it's not like we just landed on this planet in February, and this is the first time there's been this really mysterious airborne thing that makes some people sick. This shit's been going on for centuries, so it's gonna keep going on. We're not gonna like claim victory over the Rona. We're just gonna keep moving forward. That's what I think. So yeah, it kills some people. So does cancer. So does diabetes. So does the regular flu. I know we've pounded on this before, but I'm like, staying home is not the answer. I think, yeah, I want you to stay home in your little cube. I want you to wipe everything down with enough Lysol to kill anything. And then eventually you're probably going to go outside and bee pollen will probably tip you over. So and Joel just tipped over and Richard's dying to say something, I can tell. But
the scorecard for the human race against viruses is about 1 billion something, and humans still 0. We haven't beat one yet.
No, exactly.
I mean, we didn't cure polio. Actually, they're actually having a flare up of polio in India. That's a new version of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, though.
But
we killed any bacteria?
It's the whole point. Is like you never get done with something. You just learn how to live with it and move on. And so,
he essentially defeated like HIV type of thing, right?
Still out there, managed it, and I think that's what we do with all these things. Like some people get flu shots every year. That's fine.
They're having a rabies outbreak currently in I want to say Harney County. Yeah. So, I mean, we haven't figured out rabies yet.
I don't know. It's like Floyd Mayweather managed that Hispanic fella. He didn't beat him.
Manny?
You
talking about Manny Pacquiao?
Oh yeah.
Filipino.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather managed him. He didn't beat him.
He managed what's his dick too. Yeah. That's the whole point, man. Like, you don't ever say, "All right, it's all gone. You can come out now." It's not like a fire when it goes out. It doesn't happen. It's always going to be there. It's always been there anyways. Like, that's what I seen. Like, after the first 2 weeks when we figured out like this is not instant death. There's, I was like, if the homeless aren't dropping like flies everywhere, it's not what they said it was. And we should have went back to green flag racing right then and there. But part of it's because it's an election year. Let's be honest. Part of it, like my old professor said, never give a nerd authority. So if you got a mayor or governor just dying to have their thumb on the shit, we've seen it everywhere. So why people get all excited about that, I don't know. It doesn't add up to me.
I think that Mayweather is going to manage Tyson like Africa manages Ebola.
Yes. I think just the wind going by from a missed Tyson punch could probably cause internal bleeding, I'm thinking.
I don't keep up on boxing, but I've noticed that Mike Tyson's training. Or Floyd Mayweather and Tyson boxing?
I think so. Yeah.
When are they? That's
the
what
last video I saw Tyson, he looked better than he ever had. I'm not kidding. If you took away the gray beard, like I was like, holy shiitake, he was quick.
Yeah,
that's a good. I think that's a good way to get Tyson some money, though.
He was telling
hurting.
Joe
he's got his marijuana ranch, dude. Sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
I said he's telling Joe Rogan he was visiting some old dark places of his past. I hope it's not the ear biting off past, but never know.
Yeah,
entertaining.
Don't know. That's what we're all about in this country, being entertained. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
What story wasn't as big as it probably would be now is Mike Tyson's kid getting killed on the treadmill. Most people probably don't even know about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like if that happened now, that'd be a scandal. His kid was like playing on the treadmill and apparently like fell and got caught in something, choked him to death.
Oh,
it's like
get his something like on his clothes get wrapped around something or.
Yeah, I don't know. It was not a big story, but it definitely happened.
Yeah, I would have. If you'd have given me a true or false on that one, I'd have been flipping a coin. I had not heard that. Interesting.
I would imagine they figured that they got everything out of the Robin Givens story. How many
So,
scandals can one person weather in their life?
oh, now that's a dynamite lead in to talking about the debates. Well done, Richard. That's a perfect transition, man. Yeah. Yeah, we're because we do have a movie of the week also, but Raleigh's not here yet, and so we did kind of delay a little bit. So let's just run around the horn a little bit and say what's your initial thoughts and reactions to what we watched tonight for an hour and a half.
Want me to start?
I was going to interrupt you. Oh, no, I was going to talk over. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Richard, please.
I thought it was a Reagan and Gorbachev in Moscow moment. I mean, if you remember nothing else about the whole debate, you saw one physically sort of robust individual against somebody that is in the waning years of their life. And just the optics alone is probably, you could say all day who won the debate and who didn't, but psychologically, I think the contrast between the two gentlemen on the stage was rather significant. So I did think cognitively, Biden gave a good stand. I mean, like, it probably wasn't I wouldn't say it was one of the best debate performances. I wouldn't even say it was in the top 20 debate performances. I thought it was pretty weak, but he held his ground, and it was a tough debate, and I think that Trump purposely tried to keep him on his heels the entire debate. Mm-hmm. Managed the moderator very effectively. So I would say that in the annals of presidential debates, this one will be a one that's studied, but never will have that much validity as any watershed moment happening.
Yeah, that's interesting. You brought up the physical component just by looking like basically you could have it on mute and you'd have just that portion of alone of what you see as informative.
Well, and I think I should explain the Moscow and Reagan thing because maybe some people don't know what it is. In the 80s, when they were doing the nuclear de-escalation arguments, mm-hmm. Reagan went to Russia for the first time. It was like 20 below.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the Russians were playing a game where they made him wait on Gorbachev. So there was this beautiful setting, sort of it looks a little bit like the White House, these long stairs. And so Reagan was getting frustrated. So Gorbachev comes and they can see him getting out of the car, and he's got one of those Russian fur hats on, and he's got the cool Russian long coat fur, and he's bundled up. So Reagan takes his mm-hmm. jacket off and rolls his sleeves up and bounds down the stairs to greet him.
Yeah.
And shake his hand, and all the world's cameras were on it. And from that time on, it made Gorbachev look like the weaker of the two men.
Yeah, and gave him
Gorbachev
upper hand.
A formidable person, but the optics of it, and it was so subtle that it wasn't until years later that people started picking up on what a psychological advantage that Reagan created for himself. And he did it purposely.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you reviewing that too, because I'm sure even though our major demographic is mostly our age, not everybody remembers that or thinks about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I feel like that's maybe what they were going for, and it's a little unfortunate that people maybe would view it like that, and that would be a thing if Trump just wasn't such a fucking dickhead and incompetent up there. Like the constant interrupting. I was shouting from my couch, shut the fuck up. I wish Biden would have just said that. Like, dude, shut up for a second. And give me 2 minutes, literally. Fucking buffoon.
I think he would have done it. He would have done
so
better by himself.
When you say like he like controlled the moderator, and if that's the goal, great. That's one way to look at it. The other way, yeah, he controlled the moderator, but how he did it was flawed.
No, there's a risk in what he did. He took a huge risk,
Yeah.
and but
It was embarrassing for Trump, man. I think might have literally lost my vote. He couldn't shut the fuck up for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think part of his tactic to go against Biden, I would have preferred he was quiet and was more on point, and from my point of view, more to separate himself from the stammering of Biden and be more clear and concise. And honestly, I'm going to say this, and I never thought I would, and more presidential. That's my thought. I think he missed some chances to have some really good answers to the questions by still being on topics before or running around in a bit of a circle. In my opinion, I think he missed some chances where he could have really set the record or really piled it on. He had a couple zingers, which I think was his goal. I think the second debate's going to be different for sure. I think we'll see a completely different both sides. I'm sure. I hope, anyways. Yeah, I do agree, Joel. Like, I didn't find it appealing. I know you don't want to get ran over either. That would be even the worst case scenario. Is Trump couldn't get a word in from Biden, if you're looking at it from that point of view. But I wish he would have honored the not as butted in as much. And I think he's missed some opportunities of really knocking the crap out of it.
Let me say something real quick, because I think I'm going to forget, because I had some of my candy. But I think Trump's strategy has always been like he tries to appeal to the common person, and overdoes that to an extent to even dig down into like people who have been historically ignored in these settings. And I'm just thinking, like, they just brought that to a presidential debate stage, or not they, Trump did. Trump brought that to the presidential debate stage, where he's dumbed down the process so much that I just don't think even these debates are for people like us. They're so far below us. Like, we're not going to learn anything new about them. All we're going to do is point out their inaccuracies, and they're appealing to a group of people that we hardly know. We definitely know some, but
the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, we don't associate with them, but I think maybe that's what he's going for right now. But that's unfortunate that a presidential debate, America's been so dumbed down that even a presidential debate now is like not for an intelligent audience.
Richard, what are you thinking?
Does that make any sense?
I'm going to classify my next observation and my prediction this way. I'm not voting for either Biden or Trump. I'm going to vote for Joe Jorgensen. So I'm not in either of these guys' camps. So I'm going to just tell you what I think happened tonight. I think that Trump just stole the narrative till the next election or till the next debate. So everybody's going to talk about how hated he is, what a jackass he was, what an asshole he was. But it puts Biden in a bad position because he can't whine and he can't back out of the next debate because the dialogue would be, look at this. So Trump beat him up a little bit and he was an asshole. What kind of treatment do you think he's going to get on the world stage? If he can't handle a little bit of Trump being an asshole on stage, then how is he going to go into a debate with China or with Putin and come out on top? He obviously didn't stick up for himself. He often relied on Wallace to do it. And Trump bullied both Wallace and Biden. So he can't really say, oh, Trump was mean to me and back out, because then it says, is this the guy you want on the world stage defending your country? So he's in a bad position. And I think it was masterfully played and planned out by Trump, knowing that this is exactly what the narrative was going to be. And the media is going to go for it hook, line, and sinker instead of give an analytical approach as to what the strategy of Trump was going into that. They're going to make him a monster and a bully, and that's exactly what he played it up to be. But
yeah, and that's why I think the next one will be different too.
Yeah, the world's
full of a different approach.
The world's full of monsters and bullies. So And you expect your president to have the backbone and spine to stand up to him, and Biden showed that he had neither of those. So
That's a good point.
I think you both had great points. Actually, yeah, I think I don't think from what we've seen from Trump, he ever does anything by accident or that's not planned at least 4 steps down the line. I mean, I'll have to tip my hat on that. To
Maybe
him,
he's just
everything we've seen so far.
accidentally. Maybe he's just accidentally brilliant. like,
Yeah,
I wonder.
Stop
This
and
is
look
how
where
it's
that guy,
played out,
look where
but
he's came from
probably
and
didn't
where he's
plan it.
ended up today. Okay,
No,
like
no.
I mean, like, you got to tip your hat there, whether you like him or not. You're like, okay, he's here. You know, he's doing shit like nobody's ever done before. So, yeah, so that's why I said that the next debate's going to be different. I think he's going to have a different approach. He's going to come with another left. I think so. That's my opinion. That's sure shit what I would do. The next debate I'd be completely different and attack in a completely different way than the first one. But that's just me. So we'll see.
Biden definitely gets a few points for his tie selection.
On point. Even though
Very
I don't
nice
think
looking.
I doubt he chose it, but it still was good. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
he's a sharper dresser for sure.
Nice knot too. I'm kind of a knot nerd when it comes to ties. So, man, that reminds me. I haven't had tie day Friday in a long time. I'm kind of missing that. So
he's gonna have to get out more. He's gonna have to be out more. I think that he's gonna have to put in a push for the next 34 days.
He's been shutting down the campaign by like 9 o'clock in the morning, dude.
Yeah,
That's
those days are over. So yeah, but I think that he put the cognitive. I mean, it's probably some visible cognitive issues there, but I don't think he's completely lost. I think he put that to bed. He pretty much withheld the whole thing. I mean, he did. I mean, he was having some hiccups and some stuttering and that kind of stuff. But I mean, he's 80 something or 70.
70 something. But
yeah,
I don't care how old you are, man. Like, if you can't hack it, you can't hack it. Like, I just found out yesterday, or maybe it was today. Actually, I saw Dianne Feinstein is like 88 years old or 87 years old. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Because they had that big controversy with her flying out of some private airport, no mask on. And like a month ago, she's writing letters to all the airlines demanding everybody wears masks. So she and her little dog are traveling through the airport. And I was like, oh my, and then they said their age. And I was like, I'm not ageist or anything, but I think there comes a time where you have to be like, look, I know you can't even get dressed by yourself, let alone where you're at today. You shouldn't be in a leadership role of the country. I'm just saying, there's going to be a point. You got to make that hard call. So,
Joel, are you in the lead? Are you in the lead of the millennials?
In the lead?
Are you an older millennial?
Yeah.
Am I a millennial?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think by official accounts, I'm like about the oldest millennial you can be. I think 82 is when millennials started.
Because it's
I'm
X
83.
and there's a Y, Z. Is it X, Y, Z and then millennials? Is that what it is? Or what?
No, this goes. There's like Ricardo's in a little lost generation. Then millennials start. My dad was in a lost generation because not technically a boomer. Mom's a boomer. But you could just gravitate towards whatever one. My dad's always claimed a boomer, and my sister would probably claim extra. So, but I think the interesting thing about politics is, and I think we see it now with longer life expectancies, is it used to be every generation got their politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Generation X is really the first generation that will have no politicians. We had one president, which was Obama, very few senators, and a handful of congressmen. But what's going to happen is there's going to be a whole transfer of power where one significant part of the population was just skipped completely. So the handoff of power is going to go from boomers because they're going to hold on until they all die. And then by that time, most Xers will be aged out and bulk of the power will transfer straight to the millennials.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting argument for term limits because every generation should have an opportunity to shape the country, because if the millennials don't give up power, that means it'll be generations will get skipped. Probably 2 generations will get skipped before another generation gets to take the reins of the power in the United States.
I mean, Generation X is still fairly young. Their time will come. They're gonna get politicians like Gen X. I think Gen X is probably about 45 to 50.
The next, I bet you the next president will be a millennial.
It's safe to say that it's gonna, just how it lines out, it's gonna skip. I'm thinking it depends on the, I guess, part of the people too.
I don't think so. I think a candidate might be a millennial, maybe, but like Buttigieg would have been. I think he would have been a millennial, right? So anybody older than him is going to be X. There'll be
there
an
might
X
be.
president.
It's hard to say. I think it more depends on the person really than what category they're in. And I've always been against hard term limits because I'm like, that's why you vote, so you have term limits. But it's also difficult to get new candidates into the quote unquote system at times. People do it. I think now more than ever with social media and ways you can promote yourself, I think that has gone by the wayside to a degree, but still up to the, I think, national committees to a large portion. But yeah, I think term limits are, you vote their ass out. That's me. I do think there should be a cap though on age. My Lord, it just strikes me like you look at a lot of the leadership and you're like, I have some friends and people I know that I hang out with that are in their mid 70s. They're the first to tell you, like, I don't have it going on like I used to. I know that. Like, they're still doing good, but they're like, there's times I'm weak and I don't have what I need to have to get this stuff done. To see what's her name walking through the airport, she looked like a specter. Like, it was not a person. It looked like the librarian ghost at the beginning of Ghostbusters is what she looks like. Yeah.
Do you think they should have term limits on the Supreme Court?
Age limits?
Well, term limits or age limits, yeah.
I don't think they should have term limits. No, we lost Richard for some reason. I don't think they should have term limits. No. I think it's the same kind of thing. I think, like, is there a national level where you're like pretty much mandatory retirement?
No, I don't actually. That used to be a thing in companies. I don't know if they still do that.
I don't know. I'm thinking like by 80, like I'm just throwing it out there. 80, we've had enough of you. Okay. Sorry. You've done your time. Go relax and go fly fishing somewhere. You're 80 years old. Enjoy it. Go do something else. I think.
Yeah. Maybe even just give them money once you're 80 or once you're a certain age. It's like,
they can retire.
You can't afford to retire. Here, we'll help you.
They can afford. Yeah. There's Richard.
Is he back?
Yeah. Can't you see him?
Yep. There he is. Yep.
I'm like, what are you seeing that I'm not? Or what are you not seeing that I am? Yeah. Is he back? Oh, yeah. We were talking about like age limits or term limits on Supreme Court, or I think once you're 80, your public service has been done. We thank you for your time. And you can go advise or do whatever you want when you're fly fishing, buddy. I think there comes a point. Yeah.
I wonder how the Supreme Court actually operates. I'd like to read maybe a book about that. I'm sure there is one about how the inner workings. Sure, we have a justice is on the court, but they probably have an enormous staff of people, right? Like teams of lawyers and.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wonder how many of these decisions are actually there, like if they've reviewed everything or if maybe their staff has just filled them in and their team has made a decision.
No,
it's
that's why they turn down so many cases.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd say probably the one institute has honored its intention the longest and stayed truest to what its purpose was meant to be without what would you say
mission creep.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah, because
I
they're often, there's the majority and then there's always the dissenting opinion. And they take great pride in writing either one of those. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of people help gather information. Obviously, that one of the most, profound things you can do is go clerk for a Supreme Court justice. But
yeah,
they're the one putting pen to paper, I think.
no, I think that it's almost guaranteed because if you had a bunch of different staff that was rotating in and out,
Mm-hmm.
that because the court cases are so methodically studied, every person has an individual type of lexicon, and if other people were writing their opinions, you would see
Oh, yeah.
subtle changes in that lexicon, and the people that review those over and over again would eventually start to pick up
Guarantee
where
it.
the transfer or the lexicon change. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you told all three of us the story and had us write it down with the, get to this point here, I'll tell it to you, you could pretty much guess by reading who wrote it. Even though it's all the same story, we're all going to write it differently. Get to the same point, but we're going to say different words. So that's we inadvertently ended on that. But what's your thoughts on, because this is a huge topic right now about the lady that Trump just nominated for the Supreme Court opening. Do you think they have the right to nominate somebody, quote unquote, this close to an election, or what? Or even your thoughts just on the process of how we do this still?
Yeah. Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, ACB.
ACB. Yeah. You know what I thought was the most funny thing is when I first heard about it and they were talking and I caught the middle part of CNN or some news thing on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure what channel it was, and they were talking about the kooky religion that she was from and Handmaid's Tale, and I was like, this is a weird religion. So I quickly pulled out my Google machine and Googled what religion she was, and I realized that it's my religion, and I didn't recognize anything they were talking about in the Catholicism that they were talking about on that particular station. I was like, how can you live in the United States? I mean, we're not the biggest religion, but we're pretty common. I mean, I bet a lot of people have been to Catholic Mass one time or another should absolutely honestly know that is absolutely not how the Catholic things go down in the Catholic Church. But I was fascinated by that I couldn't even recognize my own religion in the narrative.
That says a lot. And just recently, Ms. Pelosi was very adamant that she is Catholic and she prays, and so's good old Joe from Scranton, So I just find it intriguing that some people can be religious and other people shouldn't or can't.
I don't know what part of Ireland his family is from, but I never met an Irishman like that.
No, sir. No. No, sir. Yeah, maybe that's some of the potato famine ones or something that you just didn't know come together. Yeah, so Mr. Joel, I'm curious what you must hear a lot of different stuff throughout the day about this whole process, as I found the saying.
I can't make up my mind on it. I think I just got to look at it reasonably and say, yeah, he should probably fill the seat because that's what he has the power to do, and he has the Senate control to do it. Like, okay, why wouldn't you? I mean, it can be kind of a ridiculous reason not to. But at the same time, it's, by doing that, you deserve the heat that you're going to take. You're going to take some shit for it, and you deserve it. Because when Obama was, when that situation happened, they agreed, okay, we're this close to an election, we'll wait. And of course,
but they didn't have the power to put it through. That's why. That's
right,
why they
didn't
agreed
have
to wait.
Senate.
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
for sure.
Yeah,
but
they're all righteous about it now because they couldn't do shit about it anyway. So,
well, the Republicans are being all righteous. I mean, it's just one of the symptoms you see with how divided people are. If people couldn't reasonably come together and be like, yes, Obama is the president, he is entitled to fill this seat on the court, we're going to take a judgment and good faith on the Supreme Court, and then you'd avoid this other bullshit that now it's just going to get worse and worse, right?
Well, the fact that really hurts the most and makes me it really makes me sad is the fact that it even matters what president nominates a judge, and people think that's gonna like so shape the direction and decisions of the court that interprets the Constitution. That's the part that really kills me. Is yeah, you may not be your favorite person in the world, but two things: who nominates them shouldn't really have shit to do with how they interpret the Constitution, for one, and B, this recent trend of just absolutely destroying somebody at any means possible because they were nominated by the other side is just sickening. Like, to see the stuff they're already saying about this woman about adopting children, you'd think she's the biggest animal in the world, and I'm like, well, where's all this chaos when Angelina Jolie is adopting half a freaking village? I mean, like, it just blows your mind when you think, like, where are they going to come from this time? Is she the other person at Kavanaugh's party that was banging people? Like, it's so ridiculous that it gets to that point. Because it really shouldn't matter who, as a president, picks which judge. I know that seems a little bit, freaking Pollyanna, but really, it's a judge. It's supposed to read and interpret the Constitution. That's their job.
Yeah, and I think they're all, even if they don't agree with you, like, they're all reasonable. They're all smart people. It's not like you're throwing up
me,
the local public defender or something.
Yeah, exactly. The shitty tie and breed up, like, you look at, and that's my thought is, like, you shouldn't even know the name of the person or the sex of the person or anything. It should be their judge record. Like, seriously, like, they went to this school, they got these grades, they clerked here, they did this, here's their record. Which of these three people do you think's the best? Why not? Like, and then you get done, you find out, like, oh, we just nominated a such and such. Well, we went by the record. We didn't have to even see him. And all these questions they try to ask him, like, that's ridiculous too, because most of them they're going to say, well, I can't answer that because it might be in a case someday. So I don't want to say, it's like the whole nomination process, I think, is about half-assed backwards too.
Well, everyone's worried about Roe v. Wade, and it came up in the debate tonight.
Oh yeah.
And Roe v. Wade is one of these things where, I mean, I don't know what year that judgment came, but
70
it feels like, okay, so it's been my whole life, but Democrats won't shut up about that thing, and Republicans won't shut up about it, about about overturning it, and Republicans or Democrats want to protect it. And for people like me who literally do not give a shit, and it's half of the argument is about this one stupid thing. Like, I could take it or leave it. I really don't care. It's like,
oh, Joe, I think you might be a libertarian.
This just in, yeah. Local Brickman man discovers he's libertarian. News at 11.
well, it's just I just wish the discussion on it would just go away. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Pick a side, whatever it is. Let's stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I gotta
it's one of those. Go ahead. Yeah.
I gotta stand up for my point.
Please do.
Okay. Are you ready?
Oh,
Thanks.
I thought you meant.
But the boys' camp. You gotta fund the boys' camp. How's my Jimmy Stewart impression?
Okay. Glad you clarified that. Yes. If you're just listening to this podcast, consider yourself lucky that you didn't see that. But go ahead, yes, Richard.
Look, if the filibuster was still around,
Yes,
the Democrats could stop this.
exactly.
Who got rid of the filibuster?
Yeah,
Harry Reid.
Chuck, yeah.
Harry
Yeah.
Reid?
Yeah, the last time the Democrats were in control, they got rid of it.
Isn't Harry Reid the guy that used to be a Republican and moved to the Democrats?
I don't know.
He's from
Him and
Nevada.
Super Chuck. Yeah, Nevada. Yeah, that crooked bastard. Him and Super Chuck Schumer. Yeah, they were the masterminds behind that. And now they're going, damn. But at the time, that's what they did so they could do what they wanted. Yeah, it served its purpose at the time. So it's kind of you reap what you sow sort of deal. And the argument, like, the people need to choose the president and the senators. Like, well, they did. You don't freaking know when a Supreme Court justice seat's going to come
Yeah.
open.
I'm sure they're
Ever.
kicking themselves. I'm sure they're kicking themselves for the filibuster thing, but
Yeah.
I remember that. I was in college when that was a big
Mhm.
thing, and that's because the Republicans were abusing the filibuster. I think they like
There's no such thing
They
as abusing the
filibuster
filibuster.
everything.
That's what it's. That's
no,
what it
there
is.
is. There
I
is
mean-
because literally, if you wanted in the old days, if you wanted to do a filibuster, you literally had to sit your ass there and read or something for
Mhm.
14 hours. Now they just say
Like Jimmy Stewart
filibuster.
did. Yeah.
Make them work for it. Make the fuckers
I
work
totally
for it.
agree. Yes, absolutely. It should be the traditional Mr. Smith goes to Washington filibuster, you know?
If you care this much about it and you're willing to invoke the filibuster, sit your ass here and read to us today. Like,
Totally agree. Yeah. Don't just say I'm filibustering. You know, that's not it. I don't cut the mustard with me. But yeah, it's one of those parliamentary procedures, man. So you kill it, it's gone. But yeah, the whole thing about waiting, I don't agree. Like, you don't know when a seat's going to come open. Like, somebody could get sick, somebody could like fall over backwards in their big ass chair and get hung up in their robe. Who knows? Like, you just don't know, man.
Somebody make the awesome point that Stephen Breyer was about as likely to go as Ginsburg. I mean, there was two 80-plus-year-olds on the Supreme Court that are in very frail health. So, I mean, if it wasn't Ruth, it could have been him. And like Mike said, any trick of fate could have killed any of them. Like, what's not Alito, Scalia.
Scalia.
Yeah, the one that died in Texas.
Yeah.
I think he went down there planning to die.
No, like, it's one of those things. Like, it's kind of a roll of the dice of how everything else rolled out. Have the Senate, Republican president, open spot. I mean, and they're calling it illegitimate, which that was the new talking point word I heard today about 9 times of this illegitimate nominee. I was like, dude, she seems pretty qualified. I mean, what? Like, it's just like Richard said. They're describing her religion. It's Richard's religion, and he doesn't recognize it from how they're describing it. That's like describing your home in a way that you don't even recognize it. I mean, that's how crazy that is. So, yeah, or your significant other, you know, like, wait a minute, you just described me. Is that really me? Yeah. So it gets too political, and that's the sad part about it. And I love the world of politics, but I think just assholes.
She is involved in some, like, as far as Catholics goes, most Catholics are going to church once in a while. So she like takes this shit seriously, right? She likes to play make believe. So it is a little
maybe more devout than
somebody.
Just because somebody's more devout.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't care that much, but like, it is a little ridiculous an adult like her, an educated, smart, reasoned adult, believes that nonsense. Like, come on.
I would disagree with that. I mean, that's your opinion, but I mean, everybody has a different, either they do or they don't, a theological belief. You don't outgrow it. I think you probably grow more towards it in some cases. But
I'm sending you the Jordan Peterson book.
The morals that it teaches you, and I guess the ethics that come with that,
the guidance, the comfort.
Yeah, that's all good. That's all good and well. But if you actually,
to actually practice it, is that you think it goes too far?
If you believe in if you just literally believe in the end game of that, like, maybe we shouldn't get into all that stuff. But
no, it's good. You can get into it. You need to read the Jordan Peterson book or watch some YouTube videos on him. There's a very useful purpose in society for religion. And it doesn't have to be Catholic or Mormon or Jewish.
Yeah.
We all agree on that for sure. Yeah.
Well,
it's about having something to believe in and guide you. I get that, but
we should be damn happy that we have some religious structures that give people some moral bearings instead of riding around the Russian steppes killing people on our horses. So, I mean...
Well, that's a fun Thursday, but don't get me wrong. But
I mean, that's the glue that the rituals and the
Mhm.
myths and the beliefs that people hold is what holds this rickety thing together. And once you start abandoning that and condemning people based on what they choose to believe and how deeply they choose to believe it, then, or what rituals they choose to anchor themselves in, then you're setting yourself up for like barbaric era type behavior. And we evolved this way, and we evolved with religion, and who's to say that
Absolutely.
we're not going to evolve out of it with some other more altruistic approach to life? But it's not, it's the glue that binds us together now. Sorry, that was a
It's
rant. I
no, it's
apologize.
great. I mean, I agree. It's in, in an elementary fashion of looking at it. It's why we're all here right now, because we came here to be able to do that. And so that's why one of the things we have to hold precious in my mind, unless you're killing chickens and like swinging around the street, get blood on everybody, like go do your religion as much as you want, maintain yourself in society. Don't do anything illegal. But I'm really, that's why we came to America to begin with, supposedly. I'm sure there's a lot of the reasons going on, but that's the story we've been told. So yeah, it's one of our true fundamental rights. And Richard, you couldn't say it better, but it really is the glue that holds it all together, is a common belief in something else besides yourself, really. God, Joel, you're such a good catalyst. You know that? I love it. Just a great catalyst.
I'm sitting here thinking if everybody was just a Mormon, we'd have a utopia.
No, because we're people.
Yeah.
We're people,
They
man.
all well. I'm just saying Mormons are always really hardworking, friendly
No.
people.
I think more Amish. If we were all Amish, it'd be a shitload better. Yeah.
The Quakers,
No,
Yeah.
the Mennonites. I've learned a lot about the Mennonites in the last 2 years, and I have nothing but respect and props for it. But I'm sure there's some squirrely stuff that goes on in the camps. But
Heck yeah. Yeah.
one-on-one
Just like,
relationship, I really appreciate it, and I love their governance, and I love how they put their community first, and
like the
probably
Hutterites too. Yeah.
yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I always liked working with the Hoots. They were good people. Yeah. But they do stuff differently. They're pretty committed to that stuff too. Yeah, indeed.
I always wanted to go to a Shaker church, but
Oh yeah. Now, see, I'd probably draw the line at like, the snake healers or whatever. Yeah, I'd probably do without that because I don't like snakes. So even being in their presence, I could do without that. Just saying. Quite the. I try to keep notes during these conversations so I could somewhat remotely have some inside intellect when I put together the episode description. Because sometimes it's a day or two after we get it recorded before I get to put that all together. So this week is going to be highly entertaining and look more like a poli-sci class 305 or something, but it'll be quite entertaining, I'm sure. Oh, this seems like a good injection point. We had some, I used to call it like listener mail or viewer mail. I think I'm just going to go with fan mail because I think just a better description, I think. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about, one of us brought up about corn and how many, ears are on a stalk and all this. So Mr. John D. in Washington wrote and said, "Hey, you dummies, corn only has 2 ears per stalk." Turns out he's right. I looked it up. Yeah. Hope you learned something from that. Despite that, I really like listening to your podcast. It really makes my day. I've even listened some more than once. Keep up the good work. Yeah. So yeah, it starts off with, "Hey, you dummies," because he's sort of disappointed in all of us, in the ag world. I'm like, I've never harvested corn. I've walked through a lot of it, but I'm not counting ears. So
well,
you're right,
I remember. I remember asking that question, and then
yeah,
you guys just kind of made me feel dumb for not knowing the answer.
I was like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 or something. Should I guess it all varies? I don't know. Yeah. And then he said it, and I was like, Oh, you're right, dude. You're totally right. He goes, of course I'm right. I'm like, I
Oh,
know, but I'm
crap.
just saying, yeah, you're right. So there it goes. But he is a longstanding fan, and like he says, he's even listened to some episodes more than once. And I'm like, well, you poor bastard. You should
I haven't even listened to more episodes more than once.
I'm like, man, we got to turn on some more podcasts too. But I thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So
I feel now like I should listen to the actual current episodes a little bit better.
completely turning worlds upside down here. Like I might even listen to the shit we say ourselves. I don't know what's going on around here. Oh my God, that's too funny. Yeah. Oh. Well, we had a movie of the week too, but since Raleigh's not here and it was his movie, I propose that we hold off on that until next time.
We can talk about Letterkenny more.
Well, we always can do that. Yes. So that would be. I was going to say, and I think we've fully covered the intellectual moment of the week inadvertently, which I find glorious. Just about our really insightful Supreme Court discussion, and even the overall. I think we touched on with religion, touched on with the debate, term limits. Yeah,
Supreme Court. Yeah.
What are you supposed to? What are the 3 things you're never supposed to talk to about a dinner? Religion, politics, and what's the other thing?
Money.
The money.
Oh, come on. We're on a streak. Let's go for money.
Let's bust them. I think that's a sales rule too. Like, don't talk about religion or politics or money. Yeah. Can't be money. Is money really the third one? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's our rules, I guess.
What's
Money.
Dan
Let's talk about
W.
money.
in Washington say?
Yeah. I'll get a hold of John D. He'll let us know what's going on. Yeah. John, what's the third? And John's one of the best salesmen I've ever met in my entire life. So he'll know what the third rule is. He's probably like, oh, hell, there's nothing off limits. If you're good enough, that's probably going to be John's answer, I'm going to guess. Yeah. So, and with him, I'd agree. That son bitch used to drive so much. He had a huge territory. And so he had this big regular van, had a huge van he drove around when we did pharmaceutical work together. So he got his oil changed like on a Friday afternoon at this place. And he was back on like Monday morning to get his oil changed again. And the guy's like, do we do something wrong? Weren't you just in there? He's like, yeah, but I get my oil changed every 3,000 miles. And I did 3,000 miles, so I'm back. And the guy's like, holy crap, dude. Like, what? You just put it in the driveway up on blocks and wedge the gas down? And, nah, he's just this maniac that sells all the time. So that's one of my favorite JD stories. Well, I have a lot more, but we'll have to get him on for that. So, yeah. It's, so the next debate is in a week. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Somebody nod and say yes. Of course it is. Yeah, I think that was one of the final words they said the night before they took off. That it's in a week. I think it's October 6th or 7th or something like that. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see the any updated strategy or any it'd be a different moderator, won't it? Does anybody know?
Yeah, it should be on a different
network. Yeah,
might be a panel this time.
Oh yes.
And then we gotta have Pence and Harris.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
I wonder if they can figure out a way to raise up like a soundproof shield or something between Trump.
They should just.
When it's not his turn to talk.
They should like a microwave. I can turn your microphone off. Like it should be like the kill button. Like
yeah.
And now you say nothing. Yeah. That's just me.
I think mudslinging is a time-honored tradition in politics. So, I mean, one of the best debates I ever saw was Ann Richards against George Bush in Texas.
Oh, that'd have been some good stuff there, Maynard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was the queen.
I
would like to resurrect her just to lay into somebody. She was amazing.
Some of it was backhanded. Some of it was right up your nose. Yeah.
Is she,
yeah.
Is she the one that beat him the first time he ran or something?
She was the incumbent.
Yeah.
And she beat him, right?
She may have, yeah. I'm not.
I think the first time, maybe. Yeah. She had a lot of swing down there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. She was probably Texas' last Democratic governor.
Probably. Well, the guy now is kind of weaves in and out of that lane every once in a while, anyways. But I'm just saying, yeah. Oh yeah, it's not bad. So we've bounced around quite a bit, but I think we could certainly start wrapping up with maybe what we learned. It's probably going to be extra informative this week. So Richard, since you're still awake and you put up with our golf talk at the beginning, would you like to shed a little light on perhaps what you've learned?
No, I think what I learned was this was a good conversation, and I think we all took the same sort of it's too late for me to remember words.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah. No, that guttural sort of, I mean, that wasn't
Response.
a pleasant thing to watch, that debate, on so many different levels. And I think that's one thing that we've learned is I would say across the United States, everybody has that same feeling. And it probably doesn't make them feel much better about the future. So, yeah. And, yeah, I think that, I'm just happy that everybody in this podcast and probably almost everybody that listens to this podcast is well-informed voters. And however you vote, thanks for putting the time and thinking about stuff about it. And that's invaluable. So I'm just assuming, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think that's a tremendous point that, and maybe that's some good that come out of this debate this evening is maybe I imagine a lot of people watched, which means there's a lot of people interested in the process. And I think every year we see fewer and fewer people physically actually vote and get involved in it. And I think ultimately that's the main goal is just do what you think's right, what you believe, and go vote. And I don't mean to sound like the rock the vote dudes because I think those guys are a-holes, but I'm like, be involved in the process because if you're not, you really can't bitch about it. And it doesn't have to be anything besides just getting out and voting. If you want to get involved locally, I think it's even better. But I think that's a tremendous point that we often overlook is we complain more about the system and not the fact that any of us really do anything about it or that we need to be involved in just knowing what's going on.
I don't know what outlets did you guys watch it on?
Say again?
What platform did you watch it on? Because I watched it on YouTube, the Fox feed. Because
Yeah, it was Fox.
And there was, did you watch it on YouTube or on the TV?
TV.
Yeah, so on my stream alone, there was 1 million people. So,
Joel, did you say you don't watch Fox? Is that what you said?
No, I was watching it on Fox.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And I watched it on YouTube TV on Fox channel, so I don't know how that's counted.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I have that too. Yeah.
I'm just saying if they're on just one YouTube channel alone, there was 1 million people.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that there was less than 6 to 7 million people watching this, and that's probably a record.
Yeah, I think there's good coverage. Nothing else. People are interested in looking. I think that's the ultimate point. So, well stated as usual, Mr. Richard. Mr. Joel and your soon-to-be macrame bead backdrop. What are you thinking, man? What did you learn?
Yeah, I don't know what I've learned, but lately I've been thinking a lot more about like what I thought I used to know or what I thought I knew, and then stuff gets called into question. It's like it seems like facts used to be more concrete and more common than they are now. There's no like absolutes, and I just think about that a lot more. So it's hard to learn something when I don't really trust anything anymore.
It's a tremendous statement. I've talked about it with some other friends, especially around this COVID shit, for lack of a better term. Is I was speaking to two other people. We all consider ourselves educated, probably a tad smarter than the average bear. we're not doing calculus on our sleep, but all of us were like, so what does this mean? It was this when it began. It's this now. We don't know why anything is what it is. You can't trust a single damn thing you hear from anybody hardly, because the next day it's something completely different, or you just know like that's completely out of bounds or way over politicized. And I think that's so frustrating and sad and that's part of the fuel for a lot of the chaos I think that we see around us is, either you're not going to believe anything or some people probably believe everything as long as it comes from the place they want it to come from. And I've had those conversations too, where somebody who's just fed out of the same trough over and over, and not willing to think about anything different. And I hear the term, your facts. I have my facts and you have your facts. I'm like, no, you don't own facts. Facts are facts. Like they are what they are. Like they're not mine or yours. They are. And that like head blew off the top of the shoulders. And I'm like, but everything from COVID to global warming to whatever you want to say, it's, I think we have more information now than ever, but I think we know less physically than we probably ever have in history. And it boils down to trust and really questioning what you think which can be discouraging at times, and it could be also a time to look at things differently and maybe come from a different angle. But it can drive you ape shit too.
I saw a great Norm Macdonald bit with David Letterman about why don't we just agree to disagree.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be awesome.
And he telling his story about going to see his doctor, to Dave Letterman, and they're arguing about some health thing. I think about him eating or something. And Norm ends the conversation with the doctor and says, well, why don't we just agree to disagree? And the doctor says, no. And then he gives Norm this long litany of like, because then you'd still be wrong. I'd be wrong for allowing you to believe that yeah. Anyway, so I saw that this weekend. I was thinking about that is that's the thing with the facts is why don't we just agree to disagree? And it's like no.
That's not how any of this works. Yes, as they say. Yeah.
And like so obviously I'm diehard, my party's a libertarian. And I thought it was the interesting thing is Jill Jorgensen got on, the only network that will carry her, which is the Reason Network, and said, if you really want to protest, you should vote for me.
Nice move there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, obviously everybody hates everybody. And so I just think it's ironic, all this talk about women and leadership and that kind of stuff. There is a party that has a woman that's nominated that is semi-structured and semi-legitimate. I mean, last election, because they had Gary Johnson, they got almost 4% of the vote. Best showing of almost any party since the Bull Moose Party. So, I mean, maybe it's time that, we all stop agreeing to disagree and pick our new horses and splinter this up a little bit. This two-party thing is about for the birds.
I agree with that. I think, and all of us that lived through the Perot years have sort of gun shy about that too, though, because oftentimes it'll siphon one side from the other and just split that up, unfortunately. And that's what I think happened for Perot for sure.
Yeah.
And so that's the risk, I guess, that you take with that. But I certainly agree. Can I finish? I can't finish. Can I finish?
Sorry.
Yeah. No. That was his famous line. That guy, I mean, like, he was basically the first Trump, like the businessman. He's like, look, we're going to run like a business. He had his little charts and shit out, and really, if he would have been running on just as the Republican versus, was it Clinton? Yeah, I think he would have won or done a hell of a lot more. I think if he would have been the Republican nominee instead of third party, because he took a tremendous amount of the votes out of the Republican side, and I think that scarred a lot of people.
one of my, sorry, I don't want to monopolize this, but one of my favorite geopolitical thinkers is Peter Zeihan. And his favorite line is, George Bush was elected at the right time, he was the right man at the right time at the right place to like really start transitioning America away from the Cold War. He had all the connections in China. He had great amount of respect worldwide. He was a diplomat. He was the guy, and we voted him out of office.
Yeah, because we thought he was a wimp. Remember?
Yeah,
that was the big thing about the first G-Dub. He was a wimp, and so yeah, that was, we're not gonna have any of that. So,
but the other interesting thing is this is the time for several more parties, because this is the first election where I honestly believe, regardless of whether Trump wins or Biden wins, and I shouldn't cuss as much, but it's going to be a shit show either way.
guarantee you.
So why not throw another party in there? Because like, it's not going to make anybody happy regardless of whoever wins, and we're going to be in for this long slog like we've just spent the last 90 days in Portland and Seattle and Minneapolis and Kadoka and whatever and blah, blah. It's not going to get better. It doesn't matter if Trump wins or Biden wins. It's going to be an absolute shit show. So why not throw your vote away? Why go out and find a third party? I don't know if the Constitutionalists, the Green Party, is Libertarian. Somebody's running something. Throw your vote away.
I think Tulsi Gabbard's doing something if you're not careful.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there might be a brief moment's chaos afterwards. I think it will settle out a bit, though. Just from looking at history, where most of the stupidity comes and goes on a quarterly cycle, basically. It would be gone by now if it wasn't for the election. I'm fairly certain of that. It's paid for. So I think a lot of the chaos we're seeing is being paid for a reason. So, it'll be shown in a different form, I think, after the election either way. But, yeah, it's not exactly what I'd call ground swelling. Just saying. Yeah. So, well, Joel, you're right. I think we all have experienced that to definitely a certain degree for sure. It's frustrating. So, oh shit, that leaves me. Sorry. What have I learned, man? I've been learning that sometimes patience and not and waiting a while and maybe not reacting as soon as you initially thought has virtue for sure. To give you a better perspective of a landscape or a situation. I'm usually a real gonna make a decision. It's A or B, and then we're gonna go. And as of late, the past few weeks, I've been some great input and thought from some friends of mine, and about being patient and waiting and biding your time and kind of holding your cards. And it's hard to describe that any much further now than what I already have. But there's a lot to be said sometimes for letting things settle out and then seeing which way to roll. Granted, there's times too when you need a good, quick decision and you have to make it the best one to just go. But I think realizing that you have resources around you where you don't have to make it right away is a benefit also. So that's been a paradigm shift for me to some degree. Of my decision is I'm not going to make one right now. And I think that's been interesting. So definitely a change for me.
Don't let that get out of hand. You'll end up like me. Like, I won't make a decision until I'm forced to make a decision.
Well, yes, it's not for everything, just for certain components. But yeah, that's good advice too. I appreciate that, Mr. Joel. Yeah.
Some of them, the hardest decision is the decision to do nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it drives me crazy sometimes. Yeah. I've had some headbutts with my previous bosses and employers about not making a decision. Not that I don't think it was the right. I still don't agree it was the right deal not to make a choice. But I think, like I said, that goes against my grain quite a bit. But there's times where that's the right choice. So it's not always easy.
Well,
Uh,
another thing I've learned recently is, geez, damn it, we need people to stick their heads up out of the, and we're getting that the tallest tulips get chopped down mentality,
yeah, and
and
that's off. Yeah,
we don't need that in the United States. And
like
I
yeah,
think social media is slowly programming us that it's slowly programming that tallest tulip thing into us, and I think we should rage back against that a little bit because yeah, there's times when you need to put a boot in it and speak up and hold your ground, and people are going to be mean to you, doubly so on social media, and
hmm
yeah, but if you have a conviction and people are counseling you to cool your boots, it's because they're uncomfortable.
very true.
So have some don't let the crowd sway you on the path. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't allow them not to sway you every time, but sometimes you just have to follow something all the way through because
hmm
it's important that people do that more often. And I feel that that is a quality of character that we need to keep instilling in everybody in America. So, and
Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to express what you feel is right or wrong, no matter how unpopular or popular it might be. Um, I think part of the when you talk about social media, that's really been in my crosshairs and in my grinder lately of just about the amount of censorship that we're seeing in social media and filtering and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, it's pretty obvious. And I think if it's going to be that sort of platform and have the protections that it does, it needs to be open forum, or it shouldn't have the protections that exist under right now if they're going to be filtering things and censoring things, and you know, and just in its opinion. And this stems back to what Joel was talking about, also that you know, it's filtered in one direction, and things that are considered against the grain are stomped out, and that's so slippery, and not what we're founded on, and not how we've got to where we are by having that. And you have the choice of what you believe or what you don't. You know, that's not somebody else's choice to make. That's mine. Granted, I also have the choice of where I get my information from. And if I rely on social media for me to know all the things I do, that's probably a problem also. But problem is there's not many other places to get any information either. So you have to do a lot of sifting. That's okay. That's my job as a human, to be informed, not to be molded and shaped and fed just what somebody else thinks I need to be eating. So that's where you have, like the tallest tulip, Richard, you hit it on the head, man. It's taking that and being willing to go through that. And we've seen some people do that. I couldn't have been more proud of Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal for calling out the recent thing with the Breonna Taylor case and Black Lives Matter. And they just basically said, like, look, this got through all the court. It's not how anybody said it. They made it. All I heard before was you heard like somebody was sitting in their apartment, basically, you know, running the prayer beads, and the cops kicked down the door and dumped 30 rounds into her because she was black, and then left. You know, you're like, that's not what happened at all. Like, they knocked, they made their presence known. There was witnesses. They came in the door. Another dude in the apartment shot at the cops. What do you expect to happen? It was terrible. She got killed in the crossfire, but it's nothing like it was portrayed the entire time in the media. And both Charles Barkley and Shaq both said, look, you got to support the cops. This case is not how it was presented. This is what happened. And I know they're going to take crap for it, but I really applaud them for saying what they did, because it's not popular, but it's right. And that's the part to remember. And so, you know, yeah, I'm not saying that that's not a sad situation, but it's not remotely what it was presented to be. And that's the saddest part, really, that got overlooked and washed away because it became a political deal, which is never a good cause. I didn't expect I'd be talking about that case when we started today, but talking about standing up and you know, going against the grain, that certainly was one of the bigger ones for me. When I see all this other, I saw the kowtowing from sports figures like LeBron and like that Kaepernick a-hole, when you read their tweets, you're like, either you know exactly what happened and you don't care, or you're not informed enough to know what really happened and you're still talking out your ass. Either way, I'm disappointed in you. So I'm sorry. That's not right, you know?
Yeah. Well said.
How's your special candy? Is it still holding in, or?
Yeah.
It
Uncle
is.
Joel's.
Well, I have a new order coming.
Oh, good.
I've run through my supply. Can't get this here in this godforsaken state.
Well, yeah, chocolate chips are illegal there. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to get off because my girlfriend wants to sleep in my podcast studio.
And I can't blame her for that. Yeah. She likes to, that's where the magic happens, man. Come on. Yeah. So do we have time for a real quick best thing of the week, and then we'll get it wrapped up? How's that sound?
Sure.
You could start.
I just had a great time in the weekend in Connecticut, seeing my cousin, his wife, and their kid is 1.5.
Mhm.
Pretty smart. Like, he's talking and stuff.
Oh, cool.
He can say my name, and he can say yellow, and a few other things. But my name's one of the things he can say, so that's cool.
You got it like that. Yeah. He's off to a good start. Richard.
I had an amazing experience today. Was subbing for Spanish. So
See?
yeah, that's it. I think I may know more Russian than Spanish.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah.
Oh, that was a double one of those. That's an inside joke almost. But the Spanish class is split between English learners of Spanish and Spanish learners of English. And there's a wonderful lady here that was a teacher in Mexico that comes in and helps the kids that are learning English to master math, geography. And today she had one of the kids from the first bunch that she taught is now her aide and was helping them. And I thought, what a wonderful, how lucky we are in this community to have people so dedicated to helping kids that have immigrated to this country and their first language was Mexican to integrate and to have that support and that person pushing you and that level of candor and honesty that you really need at that stage to really get out, make that transition, and then really get out and make something of yourself. And
immersed. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that the service that she's done our community is just outstanding. And it's probably over a decade that she's been doing it, and probably one of the unsung heroes of our community. And to watch her at work today was just so rewarding. So I had to share that because that's probably the best thing that's happened to me this week. So just to see that in action. So
it's pretty inspiring. That's a cool story. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, for me, it's really, no. That's too funny. So I canceled my subscription to Wall Street Journal online and shifted it over to a subscription at Echelon Front, which is the training that Jocko Willink and his crew do online. And so they have online stuff. They have live Zooms 3 times a week. I've not caught one yet, but I just started doing the online, I guess you could call it training or courses or classes or exercises, I guess would be the best word for it. And I've just had so much fun. It was pretty inspirational today. I did one early this morning, and it was just what I needed to kind of get my day off and rolling. And, if you don't know about Jocko, retired SEAL, he's really all about leading by example and taking responsibility for what you do. And so, if you're having a shitty day, it's your fault. If your team screws up, it's because you didn't make sure they understood. So he's really about, getting on top of it yourself. So great online tools, really cool scenarios they put together. They usually do 1 or 2 combats, and then they do the same thing in the business world. So it's a really cool way to work. For me, it works both sides of my brain. But yeah, that's been my best thing, is going to the echelon front and starting that exercise. It's been really good, really rewarding for me also. So
Glad you brought that up, because I think we've gone like 4 podcasts without mentioning Jocko. So,
he was a little butthurt. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure he'll be happier now. Last person I want to piss off is Jocko. So yeah, or Joe for that matter. But no, with that being said, I guess we'll get wrapped up. So Joel's podcast studio can get converted back into the apartment. It is a small apartment in Brooklyn, so it's multifaceted. I think I'm also in my bedroom / front room / kitchen / podcast studio. So I'm living vicariously in Florida. But with that said, everybody, thank you so much for your time again this week. Remember, make sure to like and subscribe and share and talk about this crazy good podcast with all your friends and enemies. I still will reiterate Joel's offer for Loveline advice. We've not got that yet. Apparently, we're not covered for agronomy advice either, but we'll continue to work on that. We do thank everybody for listening. Guys, it's been great. Good conversation tonight. We will pick up on Blazing Saddles is our movie for next time when we have Rawls back. It's sort of fair if he picks the movie, he gets to talk about it. So, but until then, we'll leave you guys all waiting for more. And this has been a great Try Reach adventure, and we will see you all very soon.
Peace.
see ya. We outie?
Yeah, he's still turning it off.